Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dan Jenkins from Steel Camel, and welcome to the Steel Camel School of Product Innovation, Technology, and Performance. Also on this channel, we cover a lot about worker safety and the environmental issues surrounding our products. My name is Dan Jenkins. I'm the principal of Steel Camel. Some people call me Professor Dan. Call me Dan or Professor Dan, doesn't matter. We're a manufacturer and distributor of specialty products, primarily in the industrial space, and we focus on water intrusion and corrosion issues, and basically we're problem solvers. Today we're going to focus on desiccant bags and how they affect moisture and corrosion control. And in particular, we're going to focus on this guy, printed circuit boards. These things are everywhere. They're stored in electronics, on airplanes and scoreboards, in computers, and when they get moist and water gets on them, they corrode. And we're going to talk about how to solve that problem today. We're going to review the different products associated with them. So again, we're going to talk about how to compare desiccant bags. One is an adsorbent, which is silica gel, and the other one is an absorbent with a B, which is a moisture hog. And we're going to talk about how you compare them and what are the variables. So some are, again, adsorption, which means sticking to the surface, absorption, which means to absorb or swell or take in the moisture and actually become part of the product. We're going to talk about, can you absorb vapor, taking water out of the air? How long do they last, or longevity, and how much volume of air can one bag desiccate? So how good is a bag in an enclosed environment, and how much water will come out of the air? We're also going to talk about alert mechanism, which tells you when it's time to change the bag. And we're going to also talk a little bit about, can you rejuvenate them, can you reuse them? So with that said, let's move on. Let's take a closer look. So silica gel, right here, is basically dried sand baked in an oven, and it has a lot of tiny cracks. It's hard. It's basically like a little marble, and they have little cracks in them. Okay. They've been around for about 100 years. Sometimes they have the name molecular sieve. Same thing, basically dried sand. They're rigid, they're hard, they're translucent. It's like tiny beads of glass. They also will change colors. So this one happens to go from purple to blue, or some go from blue to orange. They're really good because they're cheap, they're readily available. Get them on Amazon. They can be rejuvenated. As I said, you can put them in the oven, and they do have that color indicator, which a lot of people like. So they're good for vitamins. Sometimes you'll see them in purses or keeping your family mementos alive. Sometimes you'll see them in beef jerky, so they have a really good place in the market for inexpensive stuff. But there's limits to them. One is they don't have much power. They can't really absorb a lot of water or vapor out of the air. And two, they can't do a large volume of air. So that's the cons of those. Now let's talk about the different kind, which is our product called Moisture Hog. It's a polymer. It comes in a powder form. Okay, it comes in different sized bags, like that. Different sized bags. We make them all the way up to the size of your pillowcase. And again, we compare them to the silica gel. Silica gel, most people are familiar with these packets. Okay, our product has been around about 10 years. It's proprietary. And it expands when it gets moisture on it. It does not change color, it expands. So you can tell when to change it by the size and shape of it, and also by the feel. Some of our bags will actually swell up like a bowling ball, or they'll get really, really hard like a rock. Okay, so that's how you tell with ours. And they're excellent for doing critical parts, such as your personal or your PCB. And we could do much more air. And but there's cons to them. One, they're expensive. They're about 10 times the price of silica gel packets. So there's more upfront cost, and they take a little longer to get to. So we order them. It takes about 3 to 5 days to get them once you order them. So those are some of the cons. Now let's see how they perform. So in this test, we're going to take about 4 ounces of silica gel beads, and we're going to pour them into them. Okay? And we're going to take about a half of a cup of our powder and pour it in. Now let's see how they absorb water. So here I got 3 ounces of water. 1, 2. Now let's see it. See the water? Hasn't moved. Now let's take ours and watch it expand. I'm going to pour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as you can see, after 5, it's pretty much dry. Okay, and now let's look at the silica gel. We just have 2. You can see it's wet. I stick my hands in there, it drips. It drips all day long because it doesn't absorb water. There's just water sticking to the surface. Look at that. It's still wet. Now let's look at the Steel Camel Moisture Hog. Notice if it drips or not. I'm going to pick it up. Not dripping. That's after 5. Let's do 6 to 10. 1. That's 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Let that settle for a little bit. So as you can see, the silica gel still wet. Water. Water. Let's take the Moisture Hog. See any dripping? No. See any dripping? No. Okay. So a lot of people want to know, how else can you test them, Dan? That's just an absorption test. Well, glad you asked. So what you can do is take 2 jars like this, 2 mason jars, about 12 ounces each, and you can put about a half a teaspoon of water on the bottom and a half a teaspoon of water on this one. And you can put a silica gel bag hanging off a string, so in our bag, off a string, and you put them in your windowsill where it'll get sun for about 5 days. And you will see, after about 5 days, the water is still there in the silica bead, and ours will be absorbed into a bag. That's one way to tell. You can also put your electronic parts in moisture bags and put a silica gel bag in a bag or a Moisture Hog bag in the other and do a straight comparison. So these are ways to determine which is better. So let's go back to the test. Silica gel, let's see if it's absorbed any water. Wet. Wet. Moisture Hog. Dry as a bone. Dry as a bone. Let's go for 15, shall we? 1. 12. 13. Still going. 14, shall we? Let's go for 15. What do you say? Last one. We'll let that sit there. As you can see, it's expanding. It does incredible amounts of volume. And so when you're faced with protecting your critical parts, whether it's an aircraft carrier part or a part for a critical computer, you have to make a choice. Do you want to use silica gel beads, which are readily available, super cheap and turn colors? Or do you want to use a Moisture Hog bag, which is more expensive, but it does a greater volume of air, and, as you will see, it's dry as a bone. Thank you for watching. I'm Dan Jenkins from Steel Camel. If you'd like more information, give us a call. 813-877-4665. Thank you.